been doing this every week, and a lot of people feel excited that they get to ask questions to musicians that they're checking out that they don't get to do that often.
For
Instagram
sure.
has the function now you can do a Q&A, but
That's
nice.
That's good. That's
so anyways,
good.
so the first question I have was from YouTube. They want to know what the Cuban influence brings to jazz, and that's a very, I guess, historically dense question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a really broad and great question. There have been contacts from Cuba and the U.S. since the 19th century. And I think, going back to the late 1800s, where there was a lot of contact, especially from the danzón bands, which they have the same instrumentation as the early jazz ragtime bands in New Orleans. So there used to be a lot of Cuban troops and bands, danzonera, playing in New Orleans, and there was a huge exchange with musicians. That's why Jelly Roll Morton and all the musicians that were influenced. Even Louis Armstrong, one of his trumpet player was Cuban, another was Mexican. He says in his biography, and that's the Spanish tinge that Jelly Roll Morton calls. Rather than call it the Spanish tinge, because there's nothing Spanish in what they were calling the habanera beat, is completely Cuban, and especially from that region of the Congo, influence in our culture. That was one of the beat that Jelly Roll Morton says that without that beat and that triplet, that was one of the most important elements for jazz to be called jazz. So, yes, there's influences and mutual exchange between both countries since the 18 and 1700. Right after the Haitian Revolution, which started in 1793 and was won by Toussaint Louverture in 1804, there was a huge migration from colonists that went all the way to the Louisianas, and they reestablished themselves there. There was a huge connection between the eastern provinces of Cuba, Santiago de Cuba especially, where a lot of people from Haiti migrated to Cuba. And the earliest contact and exchange that we know are from the 1800s. That's what I would say. And then ever since then, there have been a mutual exchange between both countries. There were even black American soldiers that were to fight in Cuba during the independent war, it's called the Spanish War here. And there have also been a really healthy Cuban community of musicians here in the United States that goes back not only to danzonera, but then later was continued by Agua Bella, Chano Pozo, Benny Moreda came here too, and the list goes on and on. Yeah.
Yeah, as someone, I grew up in the DR, that, so I know all about the Haitian part of that, but I didn't realize the Cuban immigration to the South was also dates all the way back to then. That's really interesting. Yeah. I know it's a very, very historically dense question. You could probably talk for hours about that. But let's get to the other questions, because these, I think, pertain more to what you're working on now. And the next question is, has your teaching gig, I'm assuming they mean Harvard, facilitated or created resources to expand on your creative endeavors?
I think so, especially by providing opportunities to research and also to work with jazz master the OFA, which is Office for the Arts at Harvard, and as well as the music department. They invite them to spend a week in residency, which culminates with a concert with the Harvard Jazz Band. So during that visit, and those jazz residencies have been going back to 1972, when it was founded by Tom Everett, who was the the conductor that created actually the jazz band, and then he thought it was important for all of the jazz lovers and the students that wanted to be engaged with jazz to get a closer touch to the jazz masters. So he created this series. So people like Roy Haynes, Han Jones, Randy Weston, Jerry Allen, Herbie Hancock, Jimmy Heath. I mean, the list goes on and on. A lot of artists. I mean, two artists that comes to the university throughout the years. So that has been a really healthy development with the community there, and also opportunities to inspire the students. At the same time, you know, once they're there, they're interviewed, they go visit different courses, and they really interact with the students. But another way that the school has helped is also in allowing me to, you know, time for, especially during the I would say the summer and the breaks, to, you know, to like I said, to research, to perform, and to continue collaborating and do what I normally do. Yeah.
Other question: what influenced your use of chekere in your music? Was it mostly your father, and how did you learn to apply it in a jazz setting?
Well, the chekere, as I learned from my father, who was the king of that instrument. He played the instrument. He learned from his uncle, Tanguito, Dionisio Guzmán González, who taught him, and then he really developed the instrument and was the first one that included the instrument within a charanga setting with Orquesta Maravillas de Florida. So he was someone very curious and very interested to take the instrument to any music realm. He even recorded a chekere in the Mass written by Jose Maria Vitier, but he also included it in jazz too. Now, it was an opportunity to me once I moved to New York to start working here and also bring my instrument to the gigs, which then brought I believe, a different sound to the scene, and a sound that would connect contemporary music and jazz directly to their African roots. So that was something that you know, a lot of musicians that I've been working with, they really appreciated. It became a challenge then, because then everybody was calling me for gigs. Yosvany, can you do this gig? I say, yeah. And then I would always get the second call. Can you bring your checker? I said, yeah, of course. You know, so I can't leave my house without the instrument. It was good because, you know, my father at some point, we were little and we wanted to learn the instrument. He said, well, you need to learn the instrument because this instrument is going to fit you when you're older. So you really need to learn. At that time, we were little, and we didn't understand what he was trying to say. But the instrument have taken me all over the world, and I've been blessed that, you know, all of us, we play the instrument. My brother Junior also played the instrument too. He doesn't get to play it a lot because he's a bass player. So bass players, they're always playing.
Yeah, so, you can't double it up.
No. So he doesn't get a lot of opportunities to do that. Yeah.
No, and we got to see, you guys watching, we got to see a signature Yosvany Terry solo chekere intro that you do on like almost everything, and it's probably like one of the highlights of all your shows. So we got two more questions. So this might be a short one or a long one. What qualities do you look for in a drummer or percussionist?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, to me, the drummers and percussionists are like the most important musicians in the band because they are the natural orchestrators. So they're the one that create all of this incredible ambience, you know, music universe that happen within a tune. So if you don't have a good drummer, you don't have a band, because you can have an incredible band, but with a bad drummer, it will never sound good. So drummers are, like, to me, like the most important musicians in the band. You know, you can play without a piano, you can play without a bass, but you need a drummer, a really good drummer. And so the same with this with a percussion player.
And the last question is the question that we get for everybody, but what have you been working on during the quarantine? And if there's anything that I guess you want to mention, we can take that time also.
Yeah, well, during the quarantine has been really challenging for us musicians, especially because our ability to perform, to tour, to do composition residencies have been limited. So I had like 2 composition residency during the summer that I couldn't, during the summer that I couldn't do with the quarantine. So one of the projects that I've been working on with 2 great artists, Teresita Fernandez and also Barbara Martinez, is in an opera named Aponte. So we've been doing a lot of research during this summer, having a lot of conversation. So this is one of the things I'm trying to finish 2 other composition projects, one for a choir with the strings, and also a more of an electronic project that I'm trying to create for a band like this. Maybe a little bit more reduced. But yeah, the quarantine has been challenging because at the same time, we just don't compose music for the sake of composing. We compose music because we want to premiere those music. And we want to see that music complete its circle, which is like being performed for an audience. And even after the premiere, the composition keeps changing and keeps growing.
I mean, when you take the project on tour, it evolves.
Exactly. So it's been tough at times, discouraging, because not seeing the opportunity to perform, to tour, and to do all these, it really challenges for musicians. So, but yeah, we need to find alternative, and also there have been a really healthy, production of new music that has been coming out during the quarantine. So it's been also an inspiration for me also to see people that already have the CD finished and they were supposed to tour it and premiere it, but all of a sudden the whole world in the arts came to a halt, so they have to put it out anyway. But I'm trying to finish, like I said, some of those projects, and then find other opportunities like this, like what the Jazz Gallery is doing, in order to keep performing and playing with musicians. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's you guys can follow Yosvany and stay updated to what he's working on. What are your social media? Do you have a Instagram?
I do have Instagram. It's Yosvany Terry. I do have also a
Facebook, probably.
Facebook, Yosvany Terry, and also I have a Twitter account, at Yosvany Terry. And I have, what's more important, my website, yosvanyterry.com. So you can go there and follow all of the stuff that I'm doing, and also, be current with the different projects that I'm working with.
So there you go. So that's how you can stay updated with Yosvany and follow what he's doing. Thank you for talking, and thank you for the amazing music. That was, as I said earlier, we were talking with the guys in the camera. This was an amazing show, both sets.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure and a privilege to be able to play with my band and these incredible musicians during this time. I thought we will be celebrating our new president, but we have to wait a little bit. So
gotta wait a little bit.
We have to wait a little bit. There's no time.
It's looking tight, but we're hoping.
Time. Yeah, there's no time for announcement yet. I'm holding to open the bottle of wine. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, and thank you everybody for tuning in, and thank you for supporting live music here in New York and in the world. Thank you.
Yeah. If you guys want to follow Yosvany, he gave you the socials. If you guys want to help out the Jazz Gallery, go on jazzgallery.org, become a member, go on our YouTube and subscribe where you're watching at right now. And that's all. Have a good night. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you very much.